For today's Cyber CEO episode.
So she's processed over 1,500 people and given me an opportunity to call people I would never have been able to have because I couldn't find their phone number. So she's really given me a phenomenally valuable call list. And she takes care of necessary tasks in the Gmail account. She sends out emails. She drafts emails for responding to clients and for leads. So we started with 24,000 leads and we've narrowed it down to about 14,000. And that's what Kimberly's helped a lot.
Welcome to Cyber CEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. Cyber CEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. Another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is Jello. We're back with another episode of Cyber CEO. And of course, we have a very special guest coming back on the show. Paul, how are you doing today?
Very well. Thanks for asking, Jello. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much, of course, for dropping by. I know you have a lot of things to do. Really appreciate you coming back. Now, to start things off, we're going to talk about your Cyberbacker experience and, of course, virtual leverage and how it's helped your business. Now, let's talk first about, let's say, virtual leverage. Were you introduced to the idea of that virtual leverage piece?
It was a long time ago. I had somebody prior to working with Cyberbacker, somebody I hired independently, and I recognized that there was a lot of tasks, you can call them mundane, but repetitive, that I needed to get done in order to manage my database and get contracts closed that I relied on somebody else to take care of it for me.
Gotcha. So your main, let's say, the thing that you needed most help with was mainly your database then. Is that what you have your Cyberbacker do now?
Yes, absolutely. She is managing the database and making it more robust, making it more profitable.
All right. Very, very important. The data bank, as they call it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about Cyberbacker. How were you introduced to Cyberbacker? Who told you about us?
Well, I've known about you for a while from being a Keller Williams affiliate and having fantastic reviews. So I figured, it'd be best for me, instead of going independent, having some backup, having some accountability for the person that I'm working with, and that's Cyberbacker.
So you mentioned that you already worked with someone else previously, someone you worked with virtually. Do you still have that person on, or is it just Cyberbacker now?
Just Cyberbacker, and sometimes a transaction coordinator to do contract to close.
Gotcha. Now, were there any differences though with that person that you hired on your own and now with Cyberbacker? Are there any huge differences?
Well, I guess initially the biggest difference was all the training for introduction to all the systems was on me with the original person. Mm-hmm. And with Cyberbacker, Kimberly was pre-trained for 2 weeks on the systems that we're using, especially Command. Mm-hmm. And additionally, at the outset with Cyberbacker, there was a lot of accountability and a lot of communication between me and Cyberbacker, her head backer, and the different people that are in your organization. So also I know that Kimberly fairly asked for some scheduled times to work with her Cyberbacker on her side to get her weekly updates from Craig and to meet with her head backer, which is all about accountability and being responsible, right?
Yeah, that's true. Accountability is very, very important. Now, you mentioned earlier that you were the one who trained the other person that you hired previously. So how much time did that take you then? Because I know for a fact that training someone is sometimes even a full-time job for other people, right?
Well, as far as how long it took, it was, I can't measure that. The way I managed it was whatever task that I was training on, I would record it on the computer. And then I would send her that recording and it would include a detailed audio explanation of every step that I was taking. And then she had to transcribe those steps into like a spreadsheet and then send it back to me to see that she wasn't missing anything. And with that was our training procedure that we built for how things get done.
All right. Now, do you still do that with your Cyberbacker? Because I know even if Cyberbacker provides that pre-training, as that what you mentioned earlier, you would still have to invest a little bit of more time with your Cyberbacker because, again, you still want things done your way. And sometimes it's not how she's pre-trained, right? So do you still do that with your Cyberbacker?
No, I don't have to. I don't have to spend the time and the effort to pre-record because Kimberly knows what to do. She has a set schedule. We've been almost a year now together, and she's very independent. She likes being independent. She likes working from home, and we meet every day at 10 o'clock for a meeting. And then we communicate throughout the day, either by phone or Zoom to go over something. But otherwise, she kind of takes care of herself and backs me up.
Gosh, someone who's independent right there. Now, you already mentioned your Cyberbacker, Kimberly. Then what are the things that have changed ever since our first talk last year? I believe we talked around middle of 2022. So have there been any changes? I mean,
well, with my businesses, I'm fixing a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So it changes every day. We're not in a set pattern yet of, okay, we're going to do every day is known what's happening. She's been on a project now, though, 𝗙𝗯𝗃, since December 1st of working through my database on one particular thing, which is matching phone numbers to emails. I had a lot of people get separated. So she's processed over 1,500 people and given me an opportunity to call people that I would never have been able to have because I couldn't find their phone number. They're people that I know that I've worked with before. So she's really given me a phenomenally valuable call list. And that's why, like you referred to the data bank, we're making my database into a data bank. And eventually what's going to happen is once we get the database cleaned up, and we start having more contracts rolling through, which we're starting to, then Kimberly's going to be more into the management side of the listings and the contract to close position of managing to get to the cash.
Mm-hmm. So you already mentioned that data bank again, the database, that's what she was doing ever since. And now there's a project that she's focusing on since last year, December. Now, what other things do you have her do though, aside from that data bank?
Oh, she manages my email, which is really a pleasure. I would prefer to have 0 on the inbox. If it was up to Kimberly, I would have 0, but since it's up to me also, I still have some in there. So unfortunately, I keep it as a to-do list for me, and she takes care of necessary tasks in the Gmail account. She sends out emails. She drafts emails for responding to clients and for leads. And really, it's come to a position where, because I have 9,400 people in my phone, is managing that database. We started with 24,000 leads in all of my databases, and we've narrowed it down to about 14,000 by getting rid of the unresponsive, recognizing who people are. So, the more I narrow it down, the better off I'll be with it.
Yes, actually, because again, imagine that 24,000 now just down to 14,000. It's just a more tight-knit group then, something like that, right?
Yeah, people that I've known and I talk to that I recognize their names and numbers.
Yes.
That's what's important. That's what Kimberly's helped a lot.
Now, also you mentioned earlier, every day you have a conversation with your Cyberbacker. It's a meeting, correct? And something in relation to that, communication. How do you properly communicate with your Cyberbacker? Is it better to have Zoom calls, just like what we're doing now? Or is it phone calls or texts or emails? How do you communicate with your Cyberbacker?
Every which way. It just depends on the subject. She does an end of day report, which goes to Cyberbacker and to me, and it outlines what she did for the day. That's kind of a form she fills out, so often it doesn't change. And depending on the task, it could be a text message if it's simple, an email if she has to follow up with something. But the general conversation, we both like is Zoom calls.
Zoom calls.
Just like we're having now. It gives us a chance to be face to face. But to tell you the truth, 𝗙𝗃, so dedicated. She's like, I'm like, y'all good? Do you have any questions? She's like, nope. And she gets off the Zoom call right away and back to work.
There we go. Someone who's really committed, someone who's very, very independent. Seems to me that you've already found your perfect cyberbacker in Kimberly, obviously. Now, I know you also mentioned earlier that you've been working for almost a year now. Almost a year or over a year?
Almost
a year. Now, what
must be like Valentine's Day.
Oh,
I think it might have been
February.
Yeah.
So around February. Now, what I'd like to know is, how did you create such a successful partnership with someone who's virtual? Because for sure, a lot of our listeners might have a difficult time transitioning to this virtual world that we're living in. So do you have any tips that you can share with our listeners, Paul?
That's a great question. It really started with the interview process, with the information that was given to me by Cyberbacker for all the applicants, the disc profile, the resume, the video resume, and then the option to meet people in a big group, narrow it down, and have conversations with each person. And it goes quick. It's like speed dating, the way Cyberbacker does it when you're hiring somebody. So that was the first step. And then my advice for people that are looking to get a virtual assistant, make sure you have enough work for them.
Definitely.
Make sure you understand how long it takes to do a task, that their time is filled with important things that you need to get done, that is better to have somebody else to do than yourself. So you can concentrate, like in my case, making phone calls, and also to be in constant communication and make them feel that they're part of the team, they're valuable, and that you really can't get along without them.
One team, one family mindset, of course. Now, one last question for you, Paul. For sure, our listeners would be very, very interested in this. Now, you mentioned that you had experience hiring on your own virtual assistant. Now you're with a Cyberbacker. So why do you think people should just choose Cyberbacker, Paul?
Typically, when an agent's at this point where they have to hire somebody, they don't have a lot of time to deal with it. And it takes a lot. I put an ad out for a non-virtual for an in-office person, and I got 300 or 400 applications. So the necessity of getting it streamlined, getting it taken care of as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and as effectively as possible is really what makes it pleasant and successful.
Go. Now, Paul, we appreciate you and your business, of course, and we're very excited to see where this partnership grows to for the next couple of years, of course. And again, thank you very much for dropping by today, Paul. I had fun talking to you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of CyberCEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.